Hello. This week we're going to start focusing on Project 5. This is the project you've all been waiting for. We've spent the entire semester researching and gathering perspective about your issue, and now is the time where you get to put in your oar, where you get to have your opinion out there. You get to try to persuade an audience. And so I want to take a second, go over the assignment guidelines, hit some of the key points, and then also give you some tips and tricks for succeeding well in your Project 5. So if you read the unit rationale, the key component is this unit provides you the opportunity to think about who you need to convince, what you need to convince them of, and how you can most effectively get them to consider your ideas. So it's not possible necessarily to persuade everyone to your point, but you can come up with an effective argument. That is kind of the heart of rhetoric. How do I communicate this idea to my audience? And so this is what this project is going to do. One of the ways that you're going to be able to do this is by identifying a particular moment of stasis that's going to be the most likely to affect your audience. So you're going to be able to say, what does this audience think about the facts of the situation, the definition, the value, their policy? Where do we align and where do I need to start my argument so that I can get them to possibly see my perspective and agree with me? So you can read through the unit rationale carefully. When you get to the project, you're going to see that there are two components to this project. One, you're going to create a multimodal project that tries to convince a stakeholder to change their mind or to influence their action on the issue. You should choose someone who is either actively opposed or uninformed or unengaged with your issue to be your audience. And it must be one of your 5 stakeholders that you've discussed in your Mapping the Conversations essay. You'll want to make intentional choices about the genre, the medium, the technologies, the audience, the tone, the voice, the design, everything that goes into your piece of rhetoric, your text, your project. You want to be intentional about those choices that you make in order to try to convince your audience. And I will get into the options that you'll have for this project here in just a second. And so one of the critical things that I want you to note about this project is that there are 2 components. So that first component is the project where you create that piece of rhetoric to convince your audience. The second component is going to be the statement of choice and goals. So it says that this project will be accompanied by a statement of choice and goals that explains your rhetorical goals, risks, and constraints. So first you will create your project, and then you're going to write an essay explaining the goals and choices you made throughout the creation of your project. This week, you're going to have a discussion post due about kind of a plan of design for your project. If you work it well, you can kind of make that the first couple paragraphs of your statement and goals choices, because this is going to be the goals, right? What are you envisioning? What do you hope is going to happen? How do you hope you're going to achieve that, right? So those are the goals. And then after you've actually completed the project, you can come back later and say, okay, these were the choices I made, and this is where I took risks, and this is where I feel like I succeeded, and maybe where I didn't succeed and why. So there's some pretty specific questions that you can ask listed on the assignment guidelines. This essay should be at least 1,000 words. And pretty much if you answer the 4 or 5 questions that are listed on the statement of goals and choices, you should have a really good essay to go along with your project. And of course, you can always go into the minimum guidelines and then what you need to do in order to earn an A or B on your project. So make sure you read the assignment guidelines carefully to know what you're doing. Now let me share some resources that I've given you to help you succeed in this project. If you go to the week 12 folder, you will see that I have provided example projects. There are lots of different kinds of projects that you can do. You can do an essay or an article or a magazine article, whatever it might be. You could do posters. You could do a podcast. You could do a video, a YouTube video. That's, I think, the esports is a YouTube video. So there's lots of different mediums and genres that you can draw on to convey your topic. And so say your topic is best described with visual aid. A YouTube video is probably going to be the best way to do that. Say you're writing to a government agency, probably a more formal tone letter is going to be a better way to get that information across. Say you're wanting to reach a general uh, audience, a social media campaign would probably be the best way to reach that audience. And so think about who your audience is and what the best way to reach them would be, and choose the genre for your project based off of that. Now, you might be saying, I've never made a YouTube video before, or I don't know how to run a social media campaign. That's okay. This project is meant to stretch you a little bit and to get you out of your comfort zone. The beautiful thing about this project is that if you've never done a YouTube video before and yet you decide that's the best way to reach your audience, then you're going to try to craft that YouTube video, and then you're going to come back in your statement of goals and choices and tell me how it went, right? The statement of goals and choices is going to be kind of your fail safe. If you can explain to me the choices you made, why you made them, and whether you thought they were rhetorically effective or not, then it doesn't really matter if your project succeeds or fails. As long as you give it your best effort and you can explain in your statement of goals and choices, then you still have the potential to do really well on this project. So don't be afraid of of, of of doing something just because you've never done it before. In fact, taking a risk is a part of this project. And so at one point in the statement of goals and choices, you're going to explain to me, what risks did you take in making a YouTube video when you've never made one before might be considered a risk. So you can see lots of different examples of this project here, and those are going to help you out as you think through your project. So for the guidelines for the project, I've posted these in a couple different places, but if you read right here, if you decide to do an essay or report, that essay or report needs to be 1,500 to 2,000 words, along with, so that's in conjunction with your 1,000-word statement of goals and choices. If you decide to do a podcast or an audio report, it's going to be 8 to 15 minutes along with your 1,000-word statement of goals and choices. If you decide to do a YouTube video, 5 to 10 minutes along with the statement of goals and choices. If you decide to do a poster, infographic, social media campaign, it needs to be a series of 9 to 12 posters or posts along with your statement of goals and choices. And I will say, if you choose to use a social media platform, I want to see you utilize the entire platform. And so, for instance, if you're going to be making an Instagram page, not only are you going to have 9 to 12 posts, but you also need to make use of reels, stories, the bio, all the components that go into that social media platform. Same thing if you choose to do a TikTok campaign or whatever else it might be. If you have another rhetorical idea, pieces of rhetoric are all around us every day. However, if you want to choose a different kind of idea, you'll need to get approval from me. Last but not least, if you go into the week 13 folder, I've created a list of resources that might be helpful to you in the creation of your project. If you scroll all the way to the bottom and go to the resources for creating projects, different media types for project 5, I've provided a lot of free resources. You should not be spending any money on this project, FYI. A lot of free resources that you can draw from. And so free graphic or photos. I like Unsplash to get really high quality photos for free. Various graphic design tools. I recommend Canva for posters or social media campaigns. It creates really beautiful pictures, posters for free. Mostly there's a paid version as well, but again, you should not have to spend any money on this project. If you are making a video, there is a lot of YouTube stock footage that is going to be free and fair use. So you can draw on that footage to kind of have moving images in the background for whatever it is you're talking about. There's audio using archive.com. Archive.com has actually lots of different things, as well as Creative Commons That's another one that has a lot of images and audio clips as well. As far as the audio resources goes, if you're creating a podcast, there's lots of different podcast creation tools available to you. The one that I have used the most is Anchor. It is via Spotify, so I really like that. It's um, really fast and easy to use. And then video resources. One of the ways that I even create my lecture videos is just by opening my personal meeting room in Zoom and then recording that and then uploading it to YouTube. You can share a YouTube video as an unlisted video. That way only the people with the link can view that video. And then transcript resources, if you are creating a podcast or a video, you will want to have a transcript that goes along with that so that it is accessible. Otter.ai is probably the best free transcript resource I have. And then if you're having a hard time determining, okay, what is the best medium for me to use for my project, I've listed some questions here that will help you think through that process a little bit. And that's about all the tools that I have for Project 5. Please read the assignment guidelines carefully. Let me know if you have any questions, and I look forward to seeing your projects.